UFC Fight Night Burns versus Mallet in Winnipeg, Canada was last night, and I'm going to go through the entire card, recap my picks, and break down all the fights from the very bottom all the way to the top. And yeah, just give my reaction. I did awfully on this card. It turned around a little bit towards the end where I started doing a little bit better, but I did not do great on this card, and this card was not good. As far as just the quality of some of the fights, it amped up a lot more as it went on, and there were definitely moments, but it just this one felt slower. It felt less important with some of the way the fights were going and how really nobody of importance was on this card. But yeah, we'll start off with Jamie Siraj versus John Yanis. I got this one wrong to start off the night. Jamie Siraj, I thought he was going to do a little bit better, but John Yanis came out, and when I saw him fighting, I remembered that I had seen him before, and I knew I had picked wrong. And then yeah, he knocks out Jamie Siraj in the first round. Great performance from John Yanis. Does what he probably should have done. And just completely puts out Jamie Siraj. Doesn't really have any back and forth really whatsoever. So yeah, John Yanis wins this fight and started my night off on a low. Then John Castaneda versus Mark Vologden. I had picked Mark Vologden, but this fight went to a draw, and honestly, I get why this fight. Castaneda definitely picked it up as it went on. But I do think Vologden won the first round. I think the second round would have gone to Castaneda, but Castaneda got point deducted from the groin shots that he had landed because he had landed two. Um, and yeah, so the ref took a point, and the crowd in Winnipeg, oh, I was loving them. They were booing anytime it got boring at the exact right times. They were chanting for a point to be taken away when this happened, and any fouls that happened. They were just all over it. And yeah, they did what they needed to do. I actually don't remember. This might have been from an eye poke, but after a groin shot, but the point deduction. But yeah, Mark Vologden, he went out there. He had a fun fight. His contender series fight was great. I think his opponent that beat him in the contender series in that amazing fight is fighting next weekend. But that's besides the point. John Castaneda looked good as it went on. Vologden was doing pretty decent in the first round. You could tell he gassed out pretty quick. Um, Second round, Castaneda won it, lost the point, so it's a draw round. Then going into the third, you kind of could feel a draw coming on because John Castaneda did really good. And then Vologden just couldn't do enough in enough time and lost the round. So then one round to each plus the draw round. It was a draw. The ending of this fight, the last like 30 seconds, they just decided to swing for the fences, and it was awesome. It was a good fight overall. A fun fight, and yeah, John Castaneda looked really good out there. Looked sharp. Vlogden, I thought he was gonna be able to put him away. That's why I picked him. And yeah, I was wrong. But this was a draw, so it didn't count really against my predictions. But yeah, John Castaneda and Mark Vlogden drew in what was a pretty fun fight and probably the second or third best fight of the night. Then we move up to J.J. Aldrich versus Jamie Lynn Horth. Now I picked Horth in this fight. And I am going to be honest, I was not completely paying attention, but what I was paying attention to was I saw Jamie Lynn Horth winning each round. I saw her winning 30-27. Like I was sitting watching it, just was not like kind of fully registering every single thing, but I didn't see anything JJ Aldrich through. And when I was looking on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, all I was seeing was people saying that Jamie Lynn Horth should have won that 30-27, and that it's closer to a 30-27 for Jamie Lynn Horth than it is for JJ Aldrich to win the fight. But, you know, robbery when I kind of needed it to go the other way. But Jamie Lynn Horth loses this fight in a very uneventful and kind of nothing of a fight. But Jamie Lynn Horth should have won it, just went to JJ Aldrich. So, yeah, nothing really else to say other than the card started off for me 0-2 and 1 because of the draw. So just basically 0 and 2, and one of them was a crazy robbery. Then we move up to Melissa Croden versus Daria Zheleznyakova. Now, this fight was I picked Daria Zheleznyakova because I had it in my mind that Daria Zheleznyakova was going to do what she did in the first round the entire fight, or at least try to. Um, she would be blitzing in, keeping out, and she would be decent enough to keep off the ground, which she wasn't overall. But after the first round, she just kind of didn't land anything really. She wouldn't like land any decent shots. And so Melissa Croden easily won this fight. Um, I don't know where the whole because she was doing pretty good in the first round, but then just lost it. And yeah, Daria Zheleznyakova got beat by Melissa Croden in another very boring fight. Between these two. And yeah, nothing really to say about this one either, other than Melissa Croden just went to the ground better, controlled Daria better, and landed some better shots. That's really it, sadly. Tanner Boser versus Gokhan Sarikam. This fight was actually a pretty good fight too. Uh, I got this one right. I picked Gokhan Sarikam to win this fight over Tanner Boser because I thought he was gonna knock out Tanner Boser, and he he had to earn it in this fight. He was doing pretty good. He was landing good shots, but then he would get hit with something, or he just wouldn't be able to finish. He would hit something and then slow up, get hit with something else by Tanner, and then not be able to get to the finish. And that happened like 4 or 5 times where Tanner was very obviously hurt and Gokhan would just do nothing. Then Gokhan hurt him, dropped him, got to him and put him out, and it was a very good knockout. Very good performance in the end because he did hurt Boser. He got hurt a couple times by Boser. Um, but yeah, Gokhan Sarakam very very easily was going to be the winner of this. I did not really have any hope for Tanner Boser. Um, and yeah, I kind of knew Gokhan Sarakam was going to win this fight if he played it right, and he almost didn't. But yeah, Tanner Boser gets knocked out by Gokhan Sarakam, and that was our fifth fight of the night and the first one I got right. So, yeah. Yeah, right? That was the fifth. Yep, fifth fight of the night. Then we had Julian LeBlanc versus Robert Valentin. I got this one wrong too. I thought Julian LeBlanc was going to do literally anything, be able to take a punch or a leg kick. He got leg kicked like 4 times and then was stumbling all around. Robert Valentin then eventually gets him, takes him to the ground, gets to his back, and just rear naked chokes him. Literally no no real opposition from Julian LeBlanc. I thought he would land anything or put some pressure on Robert Valentin, considering that just going at him has proven to work. Even if you can't land damage, just going at him, moving him, kind of trying to manipulate him in any way has seemed to work. But Robert Valentin went out there, looked good, did some good leg kicks, landed some decent shots, got it to the ground, and got to the finish pretty quickly. So, yeah, another one I got wrong. I was 4-1-1, or 1-4-1 on the prelims. With this one, and yeah, Robert Valentin wins pretty, very, very, very easily over Julian LeBlanc. Then we move up to this was one of the other prelims. I thought this was on the main card. But the final prelim, Dennis Bushkowska versus Mauricio Barbosa. This was wow. This is one of the knockouts of the year for me. The combo was crazy. The Dober over Michael Johnson and the Macy Barber Alexa Grasso one are the ones in the conversation. Grasso over Barber, a little harder for me just because it was also somewhat of a submission. But Dennis Bushkashka versus Mauricio Barbosa. This fight, Dennis was landing, throwing. Like, he wasn't landing clean, but he was throwing more. Um, he seemed more active, even though it really says he only threw 13 versus the 8 that Mauricio threw. But it felt like Mauricio did not throw anything for. It ended at a minute and 20 seconds. He didn't throw anything for a minute and 15 seconds, it felt like he literally just went out there, was biding his time, looking for the opening. Dennis Bukashka was throwing, missing, would land little bits here and there, but then Mauricio just unloaded a combination on him and slept him bad. Like, slept him out cold with like a 1 3 piece combo. And yeah, I got this one right. I knew Mauricio Barbosa was going to win this one. Very good performance. Very, very good knockout. One of my favorites of the year so far. And yeah, Mauricio Barbosa, stone cold knockout over Dennis Bajuzka. Um, and yeah, that one was one of the highlights of the night, performance of the night to Barbosa, obviously. Then we move up to Thiago Moises versus Gage Young. So we go from what is a crazy knockout to another very, very boring fight. I picked Thiago Moises in this fight to win, and obviously he loses. Because why not? Thiago Moises did nothing in this fight. The first round he did decent with, he got to the ground and he controlled from the back and he won the first round. The second and third round, he literally, I don't know of a punch that he threw in the third round that was good at all. It says he threw 50. Oh, because at the very end of the fight they threw a bunch at each other. It says he threw 38 in round 2. I barely remember any of that. He did nothing. Gage Young just kept active. Was hurting Moises, and then Moises would just duck down to shoot for a takedown. He wouldn't try and like clinch and then trip. That's, even though that was the takedown that worked for him, was him clinching and then tripping with an inside trip. You think he'd try to do that again? Nope. He just would duck down and shoot for the legs, giving Gage Young the perfect ability to sprawl each time, because you know you're not going to catch him off guard, but maybe after the 7th time you will. 2 of 15 takedowns, and quite literally 10 of those were him literally just ducking and pushing forward to try and get to the legs. No successful movements at all. Thiago Moises looked like garbage out there. As far as this fight, I mean, I thought he was gonna win. I wanted him to win, so maybe I was looking at it a little bit harsher. But I wanted Thiago to win. I didn't want. I wanted him to win because I picked him, but I thought he was gonna win because I thought he was gonna actually be able to use some creative grappling, not just throw an overhand every minute and then duck down, shoot for the legs with completely telegraphing it. But, you know, it is what it is. Thiago Moises loses to Gage Young. Gage Young looked decent, was kind of showboating at parts of the fight, but honestly, he was in there with somebody that was not causing him any damage whatsoever. Then we move up to Jasmine Jasdavicius versus Karine Silva. This fight was close going through it, but Jasmine Jasdavicius wins it, and I get this fight right. Um, Karine Silva, she won the first round probably off of her back because Jasmine got to the back, or got her down and then got to her back. Got her down, and then Karine Silva on her back threw up her legs, tried to submit, tried multiple different submissions, was landing decent elbows. So I think Karine Silva still won the first round, and she landed better on the feet. Second round, Jasmine Jasdavicius, I think she just landed a couple better shots and then had some good control time where she was in dangerous positions, going for different stuff, different shots. So Jasmine, I think, won the second, and then the same thing happened with the third. The third was pretty much the same exact as the second. Where Jasmine would just get Karine Silva down, would land a couple decent shots, then get into side mount or half guard, wore out the clock, and won the fight. And so Jasmine Jasdavicius beats Karine Silva in what is another pretty boring fight. But yeah, Jasmine Jasdavicius, I knew she was gonna win this one. I just had that feeling. And yeah, that was that fight. I'm moving right through all these because there was not much. There was a couple good highlight moments. Starting from here on out, it's very, very, very highlight moments. This one I got wrong. I had literally in my prediction video picked between Mandel Nalo and Jai Herbert. I was literally actively jumping between the two of them, and my gut originally said Jai Herbert, but I went to Mandel Nalo because I thought he should win. And what does he do? He goes out there, he hurts Jai Herbert like 4 times, drops him, chasing him around, dropping him, dropping him, dropping him. Just landing great shots to drop him, 1-2s, hooks, everything to drop Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert's running away at this point. Then Jai stands, throws a right hand, completely perfectly clocks Mandel Nalo on the chin. Mandel goes down, eventually scrambles back up to the feet. Then they're standing, and you could tell Mandel is still out of it completely. Jai is out of it, but still there a little bit more. And Jai lands another shot, drops Mandel again, TKOs him by ground and pound, and yeah, Jai just landed that shot while he was almost dead. Mandel could not finish it, even though that's kind of what he was supposed to do. And yeah, Mandel Nalo gets knocked out. Jai just was literally two punches away at three separate points in this fight from being finished, and then Mandel Nalo just gets caught with the perfect right hand. And yeah, that's really most of what to say for this one. Jai Herbert, great knockout, it's the comeback of the year because he was really on the ropes immediately into the fight, and he landed that perfect shot. That's why you can never let your guard down. Then we have the co-main event of the evening: Kyler Phillips versus Charles Jourdain. This was the fight of the night, and I agree. I think this fight was actually pretty fun. For a Kyler Phillips fight, it had a lot of grappling like normal, but this was very fun grappling. Charles Jourdain does not let there be boring grappling. It seems like, because he was constantly going for something, whether he was going for a guillotine or going for elbows or going for arm bars or going for triangles or whatever. He was moving, trying to get up, scramble, push, whatever he's got to do. Then getting onto the feet, he has the crazy kicks, the crazy knees, landing good shots. Was getting hit pretty good with Kyler Phillips straights. Um, in this fight, it was close, but it was obviously Jourdain's fight. I don't remember exactly which round each person won, but I believe Jourdain won the fourth or the third, and was it the first? It might have been the first. No, I think it was the second. But it was a close. No, it might have been the first. I think it was the first and the third. But Jourdain did very good against Kyler Phillips, who is decent competition. In his tough competition, Kyler Phillips can be tricky matchup for a lot of people, and Charles Jourdain goes out there and kills it. He just did great, landed some great knees. Here's one. Landed some great knees, cut open Kyler in the third round, which was kind of secured the fight for him. Um, and yeah, great job from Charles Jourdain. Landing great kicks. Very fun fighter still. Great knees to the body. Great clinch work when they needed it. Some good uppercuts. Um, and yeah, this was a fun fight. It was a nice fight to watch. Definitely my favorite part of the entire night was watching this fight and watching Jourdain get the win. Um, Always excited to see what Jourdain does next. And he wasn't impressed by the performance, which I get because it wasn't dominant, wasn't knockout, wasn't a submission, but it was good against Kyler Phillips, who is a a slightly more difficult challenge than what Charles Jourdain has normally faced. So, yeah, very good job for Charles Jourdain, and gets me another one right. And we move up to the main event of the evening: Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. This was a exactly kind of what you expected it to be. It was Mike Malott landing better shots, landing crisper, landing harder. Gilbert was reacting a lot more to what Mike was throwing than Mike was to what Gilbert was throwing. Um, Other than the leg kicks, Burns, his best shot, he landed a couple good overhands. Gilbert landed a lot of really good leg kicks to Mike Malott, but Mike stayed calm, stayed steady through it, and just kept landing those shots. Would hurt. I think he outstruck and easily won the first round. The second round, um, Mike Malott landed some good shots. I think had hurt Gilbert at one point, but Gilbert recovered. We go to the third round, and Mike Malott lands good combinations, lands some great uppercuts. Uppercuts started working amazing and money for him in this fight. Um, and yeah, he was just would land around the guard of Burns, with looping hooks, and was doing very, very good at just getting to hurt Burns little by little, whittle him down, until eventually he drops him. Gilbert gets back up, and then he drops him again. Um, and this time when he drops him, he does go to the ground with him, and he starts teeing off, and you can see the moment in the fight when he goes from, okay, I'm going to land some ground and pound, and then he goes, okay, nope, he's almost out of there, and he double boom, 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 and just starts ripping them. Um, and yeah, very good job from Mike Malott. Looked good out there, but against nearly 40-year-old Gilbert Burns, not the greatest win ever. But he stopped all the takedowns of Gilbert Burns, which is very important to say because Gilbert is a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. All seven of them, he stopped them. Did not let this fight go to the ground, which was his biggest place of weakness was going to be on the ground with Gilbert Burns. Um, and yeah, Gilbert 5 fight losing streak. Um, and he retires. Gilbert retires. I'm glad he did because it's kind of sucks seeing him still losing. Um, and he can do other stuff outside of the sport and work with training people, and he's got a place in the sport still, just not as a fighter. It's over for his time, and yeah, good to see Gilbert moving on from fighting and focus on his family, focus on his social medias and his podcast and all that stuff. And yeah, we another welterweight fighter or another legendary like fighter kind of gone, but yeah, Gilbert Burns retires. Mike Malott wins 3rd round TKO. I said it was gonna be a 2nd round TKO, but I did kind of say it was gonna be with like a rushing in blitz type of thing, which I believe it might have been. Maybe I'm thinking of the first knockdown, but yeah, very good job from Mike Malott, and that wrapped up UFC Winnipeg. I kind of skimmed right through this entire card because this was a rough card. I mean, the Burns Mallet fight was good. The Phillips versus Jourdain fight was really fun. The Nalo versus Herbert fight was a good knockout. And a great comeback. The Bushkashka versus Barbosa fight, very very good finish. Valentine got an interesting finish. The Saracum fight was good, but I mean, all the women's fights were pretty boring. Vologden was a good fight. There were some good finishes. Um, and then there was 2 really good fights, but this one felt like it was a very slow card. You could tell that the fans weren't even the most stoked for it, but yeah, this one I got 5 out of 11 right because we're not counting the draw. So 5 out of 11, less than or about half, but less than half, and yeah, very very bad performance. And yeah, that was UFC Fight Night Burns versus Malott. I just I don't know really what to say after this. We Next week we have Aljo versus Zalal. In the Apex, another pretty rough card. Then we have a real early one with UFC Perth, which is JDM versus Prates with Salkild versus Dariush. That's going to be a banger of a card. Sucks how early it is, but yeah, stoked for that one. And yeah, UFC Burns versus Malott in Winnipeg, Canada. First time back in like 10 years, and not the greatest, but we move on. Um, yeah, UFC Burns Malott. I've said it like 4 times. Thank you for watching. Gilbert Burns loses, retires. Goodbye, Gilbert. You were a great fighter. Some great, very fun fights. And yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good night and bye.